economic crisis, I mean, first priority is we have to get growth back on track along with job creation. And the right way to do it is spend on infrastructure. So they have clearly focused on ports. They focused on 11,000 additional national highway construction. Railways is almost, I think, a huge capex expenditure there, a lot on transportation and power. So pretty much ticked all the infrastructure areas, which, as you know, have a much bigger multiplier effect on expenditure. So definitely, I think positive for growth and demand creation and job creation, all of which is critical at this time. Additionally, financial sector, as you know, has been suffering. They have proposed the creation of this bad bank, which can take over a lot of these bad assets and reconstruct and manage it separately, which is absolutely the right way to do. So you generally address bad assets by taking it out, and then you recapitalize. And they have proposed a 20,000 crore injection of capital. And additionally, there is this proposal to privatize two public
Yeah.
sector banks, which is again right thing to do. So ticking off infrastructure spending right, financial sector addressing its quality right, healthcare. There is, if I'm right, 137% increase in healthcare spending. Absolute priority. See, the one big break India has got is that globally, we have had a single peak on COVID infection, and it's coming down very steadily. What the total infection is under 10,000, which, and the deaths are, I think, less than what UK experiences, which has a population what 1/20th of India, etc. So we are getting a huge break on this COVID decline. And I think if we can just step up the momentum on healthcare, etc., it's absolutely, I think, the right thing to do, because this economic recovery can never be sustainable unless we address this crisis. So third tick, healthcare, good. Fourth is FDI. They have increased ownership, foreign ownership in insurance sector to 74% from 49%. That's going to be a big boost. And I think a lot of the reason why the markets were so sort of
Yeah.
bullish in reaction. And then, yeah, so I think, you see, the big challenge in all of these things is execution. So I think the statement of intent is absolutely right. It's now how effectively and how timely manner they sort of implement it. But no, in terms of, I think, direction is absolutely right. Fiscal deficit of 9.5%. Absolutely, I think right now is not the time to be worried about deficits. We have to create demand. We have to get out of this, what, 7, 8% GDP contraction. We'll worry about deficits down the road. So I think, no, I think it is the right way. It could have been a little bolder, but then I think I can't quibble with the details.
Yeah. Paul, one question which I want to ask you is, the biggest challenge right now, of course, there's so many challenges, but one big pressing challenge is, we talk about being a young economy, young country with young population. The unemployment is at its peak. What do you think needs to be done? Of course, FM today has announced this huge spend on infrastructure, which is one of the biggest job creators in our country. But what else do you think we need to do as a country to address this?
See, I think one more initiative, and maybe I missed it, I would have liked would have been a little more on education and more vocational training. See, the biggest challenge in this country is that education is sort of really patchy. You have some oasis of excellence, but a lot of it, especially in rural areas, is substandard. And a lot of education doesn't really prepare the students for jobs. So
Yeah.
what you need is a much more vocation-oriented practical training, which will sort of make people employable. And there are basic skills in English writing and communication and math, which just have to be sort of rigorously addressed. So I think just like this, I think a healthcare increase in expenditure was the right thing. We have to do that with education because, I mean, without that, you can have a demographics which is very favorable, but you could end up with a lot of unemployable students.
Yeah. And last, before I let you go, uh, as an economist, what would you rate? How would you rate the budget? And if you had to tell me in one or two sentences your Uber statement on the budget, what would that be?
No, I think, see, it is a difficult time, so it is not easy to. I mean, it was very easy to get distracted. So I think in that respect, it has been focused on what really matters for this country.
Yeah,
So I think it has both been relatively, I think, uh, far-sighted, and also addresses the immediate issues, healthcare in particular. I think FDI, etc. So rating B plus. I mean, and to be fair, I mean the previous budgets were disappointing. So the expectations were actually quite tempered. So definitely exceeded expectations, and I think that's maybe the reason why we had what, a 5% rally in the markets, which is quite a strong, I think, accolade. And this time I can't sort of, I think, argue with the markets. I think both in economic terms and financial terms, this was appropriate. Now I think it's always about execution, right? So
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
watch.
Yes. Thank you so much, Paul. Thanks so much
Sure.
for joining us
Welcome,
today.
Shraddha.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.